Hello, Dahi here. Welcome to the Prometheus Wept devlog for September to October. I'll start with a quick too long didn't watch for those who want a rapid progress update and then go into greater detail. Code to support multiple shopkeepers has been added. The shop and perk UIs have been updated. 8 weapons and 15 perks have been added. Around 30 crafting recipes have been added. I've expanded the crafting system with the ability to upgrade weapons and armour, and I've optimised the final map required for the demo. So moving into a little more detail, if you've played Vigilantes, you may remember that there's a single off-map shopkeeper in the game. Now Prometheus Wept will require multiple on-map shopkeepers, so I've added code to support this. And this is provisionally the shopkeeper in Sunny Pines. So when you click on the character, you get the typical dialogue options, and then you can initiate the trade that way. So in addition to obviously starting the trade, I've added code for managing their inventories, saving, loading, that sort of thing. And I've also added a couple of usability improvements. So if you left click, it adds one unit. If you right click, it adds the entire stack. And you may also remember from Vigilantes there was a buy and a sell screen in the game, so I've merged those into a single screen just to make it a little more user friendly. So you can, this side is the shopkeepers, and this side is yours. So anything here is what you've put in to sell, the value of the trade, red if it's costing you money, and green if you're gaining money from the trade. So also 8 new weapons have been added. 6 are ranged and 2 are melee. Now, if you've played Vigilantes, you'll probably remember that the game had weapon tiers, and each new tier largely rendered the previous tier obsolete, or at least suboptimal. This resulted in there being a handful of optimal weapon choices at any point in the game. So for Prometheus Wept, I'm aiming to make nearly all weapons viable for the entire game, and for weapons to have unique traits to differentiate them from one another. So far I've mainly focused on melee weapons, and I'll show you some of them in a moment. Now, most of the time has been spent on the crafting system. Now, keep in mind in terms of visuals and layout, it will be reworked later. This is largely functional at this point. So what I'll do is I'll just craft a weapon. So you can see each of the categories here expands out into subcategories, and I'll craft a cleaver. Now to do that, I first need to craft a cleaver blade, and these are the different quality levels which you can craft it at, along with the crafting skill required. Obviously, this is just provisional. And this will tell you basically what the bonuses are from crafting a cleaver blade at this component quality. So you get 17% damage. Now, for melee weapons, the metal used is also a consideration, and you can use this to increase the damage. So you get 17% from component quality if you use steel, and then an additional 10% from the metal, which you wouldn't get from iron. So as you go up, you'll get increasing bonuses for the weapons. But I'll go ahead and I'll make a iron one. And I also need to make a melee weapons. Typically they have 2 components. They have a grip, which can either be a small or a large grip corresponding to 1- and 2-handed weapons, and they've got a blade or a body. So I'm going to make this refined small melee grip as well, and you can see here that the bonuses due to the component quality are 6% chance to hit and 4% critical chance. So I'm going to go ahead and craft that now. And finally, to complete the recipe, you need to go in here to select the actual cleaver itself. Then you need to pick the components, and since there are different quality components, you're going to need to manually select them, and this will generate the item for you. So you see that the damage 6 to 9, that's the range, and then plus 17% on what the actual damage for each attack is. Cleavers have a higher than usual amount of bleeding damage. And another trait that they have, which is, I think, unique to them, is they have increased damage versus animals. So I'm going to go ahead and craft that now. And let's see. I will also make a nightstick. I'll make a nightstick as well. So for that, we'll need to go and do the same thing. We'll need to make the frame. We'll just make it with iron. And we will need to make a small melee grip. And again, click on the nightstick. Then you've got these two components that you have to fill. And that generates the nightstick. Now, nightsticks, they will have more armor damage than a cleaver. They do dazed rather than bleeding as a kind of secondary effect. And they also grant you an increased amount of melee defense when they're equipped. So once again, moving into the area that each weapon will be viable throughout the game, but different from one another. Okay, so moving on to firearms. There's quite a few similarities in crafting firearms and melee weapons. So I'll make a high noon. It's kind of a large revolver. And as you can see, rather than there being multiple types of metal, all firearms in the game are crafted using steel. And this is a bit more difficult, so I can at best only craft a crude high noon frame. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, so I also need to make a grip. So you need a small firearm grip. Now I do have enough skill to have a slightly better to get some bonuses in that. So I can get plus 6% chance to hit on that. And at most you can get plus 6 chance to hit and -1 reload AP from superior component quality. But I'll just craft at the highest possible level. So now I've got the two. Let's see, I need a barrel as well. Pistol barrel. And I'm going to craft that as well. You can see the component ball quality, +2 to crit chance and +1 to max range. So I'm going to go ahead and craft that. And now I can craft the item. So we've got a low quality frame, a fairly high quality barrel, and a high quality grip. So this will be the stats for this weapon now. I think you're getting a extra CTH bonus, extra critical chance bonus, and reduced reload AP from this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll craft that now. You can also have a quick look at the different categories here. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of stuff in this, and there will be more to come. I've also added body armor and helmets. So I could have a quick look at, say, heavy armor. So this would be steel heavy armor, and like melee weapons, the metal that you choose will have a pretty big impact on the stats and also the crafting difficulty. You also just use kind of generic components for the rest of it. You use cloth and other components which are required. They have no impact on the quality of the item, though. And you can see here that there's 4 damage types in the game. We have blunt force DT, which will be caused by blunt melee weapons, unarmed, and explosives. We have piercing DT, which will be caused by firearms and sharp melee weapons. We have energy DT and we have fire DT. Now also, armor has an evasion penalty, so heavier armor will make it harder for you to avoid attacks, but reduce the amount of damage that you take when you are hit, and they have a minimum prowess level as well. And as you can see, there's also each one of these categories has a torso protection and arm and legs protection. So I'll go ahead and I'll craft that as well. And I can go back to the inventory and I'll just give you a quick look at the upgrade system now as well. So basically each of these items can be upgraded a number of times to improve their stats. And this is also any items that you find. So in this case, pistols can have their damage increased 3 times, their chance to hit increased twice, their critical chance twice, their maximum range once, their reload AP once, and the chance to target body parts. I think that's unique to pistols. That can be upgraded once. So you just click on one of them and you can see there it'll tell you what extra bonuses that you're getting from the upgrade. So that's where a good part of the time has gone in, and that more or less, I suppose, is the kind of the layout of the crafting screen and the content which will be added over the course of the game. That's more or less the crafting system, a pretty significant component. That's it done. Now, let's see, I'll go back and have a look at the perk screen now. So I've just updated the perk screen pretty much just before starting this video. And I've also added, I think it's around 15 perks or so. Some of them aren't visible here. And it's pretty similar to Vigilantes. You've got the wrong tooltip there, but we've got the available, the unavailable, and the owned. And then if we go back into the available, we can, check them by category. The categories will need to be figured out a bit more, but the basic functionality is there. Now, where possible with perks, I've tried to move away. I've tried to make them more deterministic. So rather than, for example, the striking cadence here, it requires close combat 35, and every 6th unarmed attack costs 0 AP. Rather than, say, a 15% chance to trigger, I'd like to provide more certainty as to what will happen where possible. A trigger happy, it's pretty much the same deal with handguns. You can get every 6th shot is effectively free. So wherever possible, I've tried to make, eliminate the effects of random numbers where it makes sense to do so. And finally, I've optimized the last map required for the demo. So the main work outstanding for the demo is in terms of, I need to look at the character system a bit more, what you get at each level. Do you get stat points, skill points? How many skill points do you get? How quickly do you level up? That sort of thing. So I'll do that in tandem with balancing the game, which is another sort of key activity that I'm going to need to look at before an updated demo. And obviously I'll need to test the game. Now, I have tested every mission as I've made it fairly heavily, so I'm hoping that the testing goes smoothly enough. Now, the expectation is it's probably going to take in the region of, at best, probably 6 to 8 weeks to get this work done. So that'll be to look at the character system, finishing touches, balance, and test the demo. So at which point, as soon as all that's done, I'll release a new demo, and hopefully you'll try it out. Let me know what you think, and start to adjust the game based on your feedback. So that's all. That's everything for now. I'll keep you posted on development, and if you have any questions or feedback, please do let me know.